My name is Kayla Evans, and this is my therapy moment. When I was 2 years old, we were leaving an incredibly high church service. It was my mother, my aunt, and some other family members. And as my mother was grabbing things out of the car, out of the trunk, my aunt had me playing with me, on her hip. And out of nowhere, this car comes driving crazy and hits the back of the car that was behind us. And so my aunt is passing me to my mother in that process. And so while I'm outstretched, my hips catch the impact of the two cars being hit together. And so my pelvis was broken in 4 places and some organs ruptured. My lower extremities were crushed. My right leg was left paralyzed. My left leg was partially paralyzed. And that's where we started. We go into surgery, and the first surgery went well, came out, but after that, now I'm starting to hemorrhage because the bones are tearing my muscles, and there's just blood everywhere. And the prognosis is, if I am cut, I'm going to bleed out to death, and if I am not cut, I'm going to bleed into death. And it turns into a 18-month stint in the ICU, and that was with about 10 major procedures. And that was like my first go at the hospital. So I went in when I was 2 and I came out when I was 4. In spite of all of the procedures that I've had, I am classified a paraplegic. And so my right leg is completely paralyzed, which means that it has no sensation, no function. It is attached to my body, and though there is blood flow, there is no movement and there is no sensation. My left leg, on the other hand, is partially paralyzed, and this means that I can move. It's called flexion and no traction. So I can kick backwards but not forward because those nerves were severed. And so I have severe nerve damage in both my legs, but I have some sensation in the left, no sensation in the right at this point. And so physical therapy is just meant to try to rebuild some of those muscles, the same muscles that the doctor said I would never be able to use to even be able to sit up. Now I'm sitting up, so we have to figure out what to do from that point on. And so there's the psychological part of adjusting to being in an entirely new environment, because for me, being home is a new environment after being in the hospital for so long, and trying to find a sense of normalcy on top of all of the physical challenges that I'm dealing with. It's been a journey to deal with people and their interesting insights on my situation, to deal with people and their lack of understanding and how they approach their ignorance to my situation.
Give us an example.
Dealing with cruel people, like even in church, you had not the kids. The kids are cool and kind. They'll say, "Oh my God, what happened? Are you okay? What's the matter?" But I'll get to adults and they be, "Ew, what's that brace? What you got going on? Why you?" Or they would ridicule my mother because she would carry me everywhere. "She too big to be carried. You need to put her down. Do you think your baby too good to walk on the ground? You think she too cute?" Not realizing that I was paralyzed and didn't have a stroller or didn't have crutches or a brace. And as frustrating as it is to be in the situation, it was way more frustrating to deal with people and their response to the situation. Or I would deal with people who would ridicule my praise. I love God and I have nothing but a debt to repay for all that He has done to me. But just because I may not be able to express it in the same way that you do, now I'm whatever terrible name. Or situations in church where prophets just need to heal me because I don't fit their definition of healing. I don't fit their definition of victory. I have people tell me all the time, "You know what, you're gonna walk. I believe in God. I see, and you doing all right now, but you're gonna walk. I'm gonna praise God for that day." And my response is, "But I didn't just walk in here." I've had some great friends. I've had some great people in my life that honestly kind of overlooked everything. I definitely felt like more of a burden than I actually was to people. I didn't realize that sometimes till years down the line. But, you know, it's like going to amusement parks is great with me because I get to cut the line. I just make sure that I take my crutches and my wheelchair and we in there like swimwear. But when it comes to going certain places, I'm hyper paranoid. There are certain places that I won't go anyway, but having to make those accommodations, I did struggle with feeling like baggage at times because I got to think about my crutches and I got to think about my health care. Like, I'm not going to the bathroom everywhere because they're not sanitary, or I won't stay out certain times at night, or I won't go certain places where there are a lot of people because if anything does pop off, I can't run and move the same kind of way, and I don't want to get trampled or deal with that. When it comes to romantic relationships, like, I struggle with insecurity because my body is not the way everybody else's is. Like, my hips are different. Like, so my legs are different sizes and my body is shaped different and my back is so I don't look crooked now, but like, I've been at places. I was getting fitted for my ministerial robe, and the tailor there, he threw his arms up in frustration. He said, I can't help you, her body is too crooked, we can't do this here. And like, that broke me because I'm here for God. Like, I'm getting tailored to be in position to serve God, and I'm too crooked. And I can't be mad at the man because he's just trying to do his job well. And of course I could go anywhere else. That's not the issue, but because it's something that I struggle with, that hit the nail right on the head. I had to learn that my physical appearance is a drop in the bucket for most people, because ultimately I am a pretty cool person, and I am capable to do some really incredible things. That's just my insecurities being magnified. But yeah, it was rough for some time.
Give it a few seconds for my last question.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I think the answer to why me, and I'm still in the process of figuring out, in the process of becoming, I'm definitely closer than I ever been. But the answer to the why me is because I was strong enough to make God look good in bad situations. I thought that ministry was off limits for me because I never saw anybody minister in their situation. I never saw a paraplegic preach. I never saw somebody with crutches preach to the glory of God. I never saw anybody in a wheelchair do it. And so I thought that meant it could not be done, or that it was not allowed to be done. But the reality is, I just had to be the one to do it. And it's terrifying usually, but to know that I can help somebody, whether they're disabled or not, whether they're differently abled or not, just that my life means something, even when I'm not trying to make it mean something. That is the biggest compliment ever, and it's the biggest reminder that God designed my life to be about Him and not about me.